I'm going to get started. I'm so glad you guys are here. This is the first time that I've ever done anything in the evening. We do have evening coaching on Monday evenings at 6 p.m. And I just thought, I've never done an evening workshop. I'll see how people feel about coming to it, but I'm glad that you guys are here. So today we're going to talk about creating a plan, a content plan, really. And so you guys can be more consistent doing your marketing. And, one of the things that's really been a theme for me is how to make sure that you're really aligned with your clients. So I'm glad that you're here. Clarity equals clients, that's for sure. So I hope that you can understand today what you might be missing. Tonight, I am going to walk through some reasons why people are not saying yes, 3 reasons why people are not saying yes. I'm going to walk through 4 phases of getting clarity, and then a 7x4 content plan, and then a mindset shift that you might want to have. I'm Debbie Shadid. If you guys don't know me, and I think most of you do, I am passionate about working with women who also work full time. I do a lot of coaching during the day, but for a number of years, my first kind of coaching, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I only coached on Monday evenings from 6 till 8 p.m. I didn't coach any during the day. I love it that I can support women full time. I like to focus on 3 questions that people mostly have, and they're all the how questions. So I teach on those things. I like to give people straight up answers and really show them what to do. So a couple more things about me, if you guys don't know me. All the teaching that I do is focused on helping women over 50. That doesn't mean that if you're under 50 that you're not in the right place. But when I say that, it means that I'm helping with very simple things. I like to be very straightforward. I feel like so much of the information online is overwhelming, confusing, leaving lots of people with lots of questions. So if you feel like you're terrible at tech, if you don't know what to put on social media, or don't even want to spend your life on social media, and you are just at a point where you're like, look, all I need to do is get clients, then you're in good company, because that's everybody that I work with pretty much says that same thing. Marketing is something that I've done since 2000, so 25 years. I had my own magazine, actually 2 different magazines. I've sold millions of dollars of advertising. I've written advertising copy. That's been my whole career. So I know a lot about marketing, and I've been coaching coaches exclusively online since 2021. Why am I so passionate about what I'm doing? Number one, because I want time flexibility. Number two, I want to make a difference. And I think a lot of you guys could really relate to that at this point in most people's lives. I want to do some work that's meaningful. I want to do work that really matters and that changes people's lives. And again, I think all of you guys, no matter what your niche is, could say the same. And I want the life experiences that I have to be of service to somebody else. So for me, it's all been this marketing work that I've done. So I know you're here trying to figure it out. If you've been showing up, posting, sharing, inviting people to connect, and you're still not getting clients to say yes, I just want you to know that you are not alone. Almost every coach goes through a phase of trying to figure this out. And I know you're doing so many things right. And there's probably a chance that the results haven't lined up yet. I'm going to use that word yet, or you wouldn't be here. So it does feel confusing. And this is one of the things that I even find in the online space, no matter what level I'm at, it still is like there's so many mixed messages. What should we be doing? Again, I like to keep things very simple. So when people don't say yes, I can tell you this for sure. It's because they don't fully understand what you do, who you help, and how you can help them. This is a key piece. So the truth is, you're probably missing something, but it's not your talent, your passion, or your effort. I know that oftentimes we think when we're not getting clients that if we just got a little more education or read another book or listened to something else, anybody here raise their hand? There's always the things that we think are going to get us somewhere else. And it is the knowledge, the certifications, the educations. And truthfully, none of that is really what you need. In fact, if you look at, and I'm not downplaying that, I think certifications and all that is important, but what we really are, and I hate to say this to you, maybe I'll whisper it, is you're a marketer, right? We're really content creators. And if you look at the people who have no experience with anything that are successful, and there's plenty of them that are successful, the one thing that they really are is good marketers. One thing they really were willing to do is put themselves out there. So I think just trying to have a little mental shift of, oh, I'm a coach and I'm also a content creator. And because I want to coach, I'm going to create content. So anyway, I think when you can do it with clarity, then that will provide more connection. You'll get much further. All right. So if you really want to know the reasons why people are not saying yes to connecting with you, it's pretty simple. The first thing is, I'm going to bet that you're not asking them. Let me pause for a moment and say, this is going to be a pretty quick training, and I'm going to stay and answer any questions about any of this along the way. Okay. I really do want this to be a useful session to you. If you want to have coaching around anything with your niche, your offer, your price, any of that, I'll provide answers and support to you at the end. Anyway, but to just be honest with yourself, I think is the thing is, are you actually making real offers in your posts? A caption that just says, hey, I can help you isn't going to be enough. A link in your bio isn't enough, and a website isn't enough. It takes more than all of that today to make any business work, not just coaching, but to make any business work. So why and how are you connecting with people? This is an important question for you to answer for yourself, because when you think about how you connect with people yourself, you should be doing the same for somebody else. So where do you meet people that you hire? If you have worked with coaches or learned from coaches or gotten education from some way, how did you find those people? And you're here with me, and I bet you found me on some platform. And for most of you guys, you found me in more than one place, and you probably looked at more than one detail, and you probably have been here more than one time, which I know that to be the case for most of you guys. So you engage with me because I look like a professional. And I'm not saying that in a bragging way. I'm saying that this is one of the pieces that's important, is looking professional. It creates trust. It's the only thing that can create trust, is the visual part, because there's no talking to anyone. All they see first is what they see. Okay. So trust and attraction can be created by not just that professional brand that helps you look like an expert, but consistency. When I am following somebody or interested in somebody, and all of a sudden they drop off the radar, especially with the way the algorithms are now, a lot of times I'll go look to see, when was the last time they posted, or what is the deal, or I'll be thinking about some coach that maybe I'm interested in, and I'll think, I don't see their stuff anymore. I wonder what the deal is. I'll go back and look, and they're not posting anymore. So you do have to have a consistent presence. And I'll tell you, more than anything, I just recently went to an event with Maria Went, and there was people there. Almost everybody there was making a lot of money. And they were in the 300 and something people there, all making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the one thing Maria said was, consistency is the key to everything. It doesn't have to be posting 20 times a day, but consistency is the most important piece. Now, this Maria Went, if you don't know her, she helps people sell low ticket courses. So that's different than what you guys are here for. You have to have a really big audience to sell a low ticket course. So anyway, and then having a clear message that speaks to your expertise. We'll talk more about your specific expertise here in a minute. So after I say all that, I'm sure you can begin to see why you're not attracting either the right people or attracting people. And I would just say, you can't expect something to work for you if you aren't being clear, consistent, professional, and speaking as an expert. If you're not giving out what you are attracted to, you should not be the exception to the rule. Okay. I hate to be like that, but I got to be straight with you guys. So you might be putting yourself out there, but not out there in a way that works. Okay, let's just go a little bit deeper. I'm going to give you 3 more reasons why people might not be saying yes. Okay, number 1, they don't know you. If your posts are vague, they're not going to know you. The more that I work with our clients, just week after week, I hear something that they say, and I'm like, wait a minute. Now, you haven't said that to me before. And that's not reflected in your social media. And that is like something, or in your marketing anywhere, not just social media, but in any of your marketing, that could be like the standout point that somebody else would connect with. I was just talking to a career person in the call right before this, and what I heard today after looking at her social media was it looked like she was targeting a really specific age and a really specific type of person. Turns out she is, that we hadn't actually clearly defined that far down. So anyway, making sure that you're not being too vague is very important. If you are not speaking to any one person, then you're not speaking to anyone at all. You have to be specific about what you're talking about. If you are talking over your heads, this is another client right before this that's brand new, just started working with us a couple weeks ago. She's an incredibly smart, brilliant woman who's very well trained, very educated, and everything she says is like nobody's going to understand her. Where she's at, and this is for all of you guys, you've all been studying, you've all evolved. The way you talk about things is going to be different than somebody who's at the beginning of the journey. And you are probably coaching the person at the beginning of the journey. You have to be posting as the unevolved you, not the evolved you. Okay. If you are posting at where you are right now, it's not going to land. So I was suggesting to her to even take a social media post that she did and put it into ChatGPT and say, make it simpler, right? Make it super simple so anyone could understand it. So trust is really created when people think that you understand them. It's also created when you're willing to help them before they connect with you. This training is an example of that. I've already said, again, not bragging on myself, I'm just saying this is an example. I said, and I sincerely mean it, if you want to stay till the end, I'll answer any questions you have. I'll give you any coaching that I can give you this evening. That's the way, to me, that you create connection and that you also create trust. So, by the way, I'd love to hear if any of you guys are willing to share what your niches are. I would love to hear, whoops, I need to open that over the screen. I would love to hear what your niches are and where you're at in your business, because some of what I do could tailor the conversation to you. So you also have to have a marketing plan. You also have to have some kind of weekly or monthly or whatever it's going to be, some kind of flow for what your marketing is going to be. And so if you have to be consistent, where are you going to be consistent? Facebook groups, that's a big place that you can do that. In-person networking, growing your email list. One of the key things I want to say about growing your email list is it's not just growing your email list by giving them something of value. It's getting them to engage with the thing that you gave them, that they opted into. That really is the key piece there. Getting them to take that next step. At the Design, Live, Thrive Summit, which we just had recently, our summit speakers had a freebie that came with it. And it was important for them at the end of the talk to really describe to people what that was and to have them get engaged in doing the freebie or using the freebie, because that's one more level of engagement. There was a study by Google, the 7-11-4 study, and it's that somebody has to engage with you. I think it's on 7 different platforms. 7 different times, 11 hours total, and 4 platforms. It's a study from 2025, 7-11-4 study. So people need to have, at this point, lots of connection with you. If you have not been on one of my trainings recently, the amount of growth that there is in the coaching business is unbelievable. It's mind-blowing how big and how fast the coaching space is growing. So there is so much opportunity. But again, people have to know that you exist. And now there has to be some time that people can spend with you to get to know you. So again, social media might be part of your marketing plan, or should be for sure part of your marketing plan. This is a sheet that I just came up with ways that you could market your coaching business for free. And I'll tell you, we could go on and on. Every single coaching call we have, somebody talks about a place that they could market their business, or that they have marketed their business for free. So all kinds of ways to do that. I teach only marketing where you don't pay to market. So even somebody was just asking in our last call about going to a vendor event. I said, don't do that. You don't need to pay to be a vendor at anything. That's not going to be the most effective use of your time. So if you were going to go all in on your marketing, this is what it would look like. You do weekly workshops. Yeah, weekly, not once a month. And sure, you got to start where you're at. But if you really wanted to go all in, that would be it. If you really wanted to go all in, you'd have a new freebie every single week. This is part of the process of learning what your person wants, what they're interested in. This is how you really grow your business. So there are so many ways to get more efficient at this, and so many of the things that you can duplicate and reuse over and over again. So one workshop, like this one workshop, could become multiple freebies by the time we're done with it. And it could become a training that somebody could opt into again. It could become many social media posts. It could become reels that I do, stories that I do, all that kind of stuff. Meeting a new person every day. I typically tell our clients, please meet a new person once a week. But this is the next level. Could you challenge yourself between now till the end of the year to meet a new person every day and let a new person every day know what you do? That's how businesses are built. Yeah. This is not my normal schedule that I get our new clients on, but I'm just saying this would be what you would do to really go all in on your business. All right. Emailing more than once a week. Once a week is the cadence that we recommend people to start with. But what if you got to the point where you were emailing at least every other day? In the end, you're going to want to be emailing every day. That's how you build a business, and that's how you maintain a business. So listen, I'll just tell you, if you're feeling overwhelmed at this moment, all this stuff is repeatable. It's all stuff that you're repurposing. So you're not recreating a new email over and over every single day. Okay. There are easier ways to do it, but I'm just talking about that's the volume that's going to help you get to where you want to go to. And before I move on, let me just explain to you why that is. It's because nobody opens every email anymore. Nobody looks at every single social media post. So there's opportunities even for you to resend the same email to people who didn't open it with a different subject line. So there's ways to work around that and to get your content seen. Maybe again, another opportunity in front of somebody who didn't open it the first day. And if people aren't opening your emails or not looking at your posts or commenting on it, I shouldn't say not looking at your posts. They're not looking at your posts because whatever social media platform is not showing it to them. So that's the number one problem there. But if they're not opening your emails, it's probably just because of whatever they've got going on that day. So anyway, please, if you got any questions, again, I'll answer those at the end. So let's talk about where you would start if you were going to go all in. The first phase is having clarity. So if you're not marketing, just like what we've talked about, or if your head is spinning already and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot, I'm going to guess it's because you either don't know how to do the marketing, which is legitimate, right? How to write emails, how to send the emails. And maybe you have a lot of how knowledge because you've watched lots of trainings. But if you're not actually doing it, that's really when you learn it. Again, when we did our Design Live Thrive Summit recently, everybody had to email because that's part of what we do is provide emails for people. And it was like all of the teaching that they had learned from me about email marketing all of a sudden now made sense because they were actually sending emails to people. So you really learn it by doing. But either you don't know how to do the marketing, or you've got questions about social media, about captions, about the posts, about the workshop, all this stuff, or else you're just not clear on what you should be saying or who you should be saying it to. Those two things are the reasons why you're not marketing. Again, I mentioned this kind of double standard earlier, which is you came to me knowing who I was, and you found me through all of those various ways that you connected with me. And the double standard is you might, I'm not pointing a finger, but you might be sitting on your end saying, listen, nobody's connecting with me. And I would challenge you and say, are you doing everything you should do or could do? Are your expectations met with what you're putting out there in the world? And it's possible, it's very possible to work full time and to do all of this, right? To just do it in the evening. You just have to know what your content is going to be about, what platforms you're going to do it on, and just really how to keep it simple. And then it's possible. But again, don't have a double standard. When you start thinking it's not working, you have to ask yourself, am I working, right? What kind of work am I doing towards this? Be honest with yourself. So here's the 4 steps to creating clarity and alignment. And the first one is to know who your ideal client is. And my take on this is your ideal client should be you. Your ideal client should be your life, your lived experiences, your career, your education, what you're passionate about, and where you've had personal transformation. So you just have to answer the questions of where is the transformation that you've had, right? What life experiences have you lived and thrived through? And then how does your career, your family, your health, your relationships, how does all of that play a role in a potential niche for you? So again, if you want to share your niche with me, I'd love to hear. I know that niching is everything. I really think it is. And when I was just talking about marketing, if you're not marketing clearly enough or not marketing enough, I think it's probably because you're not connected with your niche. You're not sure enough about your niche, not clear about what their problems are and such. So getting the right niche is really everything in your business. Getting it wrong and nobody connects to you. Anyway, really, if you've got questions about your niche, I've got a 4-step process. I'd be happy to answer those as well. So one thing I would say is don't be too afraid to narrow. When you think about your niche, this is just one example, and I could have had 20 more examples on this page. If you were going to think of weight loss, there's lose your first 10, your last 10, lose without tracking, without shots, or with shots, during menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, right? After pregnancy. Like you could go into so many different things. We have a coach who's on the call who coaches people around losing weight regained after bariatric surgery, lose weight while vacationing, lose weight without counting on exercise, lose the weight with fast food. All of those now, because we all can relate to that, I'm sure, are all like, oh yeah, I could see how each one of those could be a niche. It's the same for whatever you are thinking about. This is so much different than just being a weight loss or a health coach. Getting that specific is what's going to attract your ideal clients. All right, the second piece to this is to know what the problem is. To really know specifically in their head, what is their problem? And it needs to be in words that they are thinking, not words that you're thinking. Sometimes in this space, we talk about self-care or we talk about self-image, or those are probably not words that they're thinking. They're not thinking, I haven't given myself enough self-care, right? They're just thinking, I have no time for myself. I'm overbooked and overstressed and whatever it might be. But just make sure that whatever you're saying is really as simple as it can be. So what are they thinking? What is keeping them up at night? What are they worrying about? The long-term effects of this thing or that thing? What is the impact to them and to everyone else? Very important to know. It could be impact to them on their career, to their family, to their relationships with their kids, to their health, and how does it impact anyone else? And then what have they already tried? This is another important thing for you to know. That's going to help guide the way that you do your content planning, right? This is all about attracting clients through consistent content marketing. So you have to know what else they've tried. So you can be, I don't want to say marketing against that, but to be able to point out this thing that you've tried hasn't worked, and that's why I have a solution. All right, number 3 is to know what they want and why they want it. Okay, so what's the outcome that they really do want? And here's the deal. A lot of times they're not even clear on what the outcome is. So how can you help them paint a dream picture? Why now is the time? This is another really important thing for a lot of you guys to know. Why now? Why today is the day that somebody should connect with you? That's also part of your content piece, to be thinking seasonably. And I don't know what your niches are, but every niche has seasons to it too, and holidays that are, if we were just thinking about the winter holidays and we were thinking about stress over getting together with families or overeating or dealing with overspending during the holidays, there's so many ways that you could do just marketing focused around the holiday season, and then apply that to every other season or every other holiday, whatever it might be. Knowing what somebody wants is also important. And then What does their best life look like? Again, you might need to paint the picture because they might not be able to paint it. But I would caution you to do it in a way that they understand and do it in a way that makes sense to them. Even simple things like some of you guys are talking about the nervous system. They don't even know what that is. Most people that are not in coaching don't understand that. So make sure no matter how well it seems like or how well informed you feel and that everybody else is, I'll just give you a clue that if you are looking up those things on social media, the reason why you feel like you're being bombarded by it is because the algorithm knows to show you that same stuff. So if you had some interest in the nervous system, you're going to see all the posts around it, which is why it feels like everybody knows about it. But everybody is the small sampling of posts that you are seeing on Instagram. Okay, number 4 is to know how to solve what it is. If you have a niche that is you, if you really know what their problem is, because you had the problem, if you really know what it is that they want because you know what you wanted, then you already know how to solve it because you solved it for yourself. So what needs to be corrected for them to be happy? What awareness do they need to have? What notions or ideas need to be dismantled? What beliefs need to be instilled or what beliefs need to be broken, right? What knowledge or questions are they going to have? All of that is based on your unique skill set, every bit of that. So this is how, again, you get yourself aligned, fully aligned with who it is you are supporting. All right, so this is how you get expert status for your niche. Okay, you know them from your own experience. You know how to solve it, right? You know what they need. Okay, so any questions about niche? I don't see anybody chatty Cathy in the chat over here. So if you have any questions, I'll trust that you will say in the chat that you've got a question and I'll be happy to answer it for you. But I definitely can talk to you about what would make a good niche. I also can talk to you about whether your niche is a good one or maybe if you need to further narrow down. Okay, so in this first phase, we talked about getting honest about your current marketing. If you don't have the results that you want, maybe there's a chance you're not doing the marketing that you need to do. And also, since you guys are here in the evening, it probably means that you work full time. So it's about figuring out how does that work for you when you already work full time, you're trying to build a side hustle. What is your marketing going to look like? It will be different than a lot of other people's. Then really identifying the reasons why clients aren't connecting. And I'm going to guess it's because you're not being clear in your message. And then that clarity and consistent marketing will build that trust. It will build that confidence and connection. And then defining again what I've just said, who you help, what's wrong, and how you're going to solve it. And then moving from being confused to confident. This is literally something we just coached about in the last hour. I feel like the last hour of coaching has everything to do with tonight's training. Somebody who'd been saying for the last 2 weeks just how unsure she was. She's a new client, just how unsure she was. And it was like, no, really, the more time she spent talking with me about it, I had to remind her, actually, you do know what you're talking about. And she's now seeing, oh, actually, I do. So you get to decide if you want to be confused about what you're doing or get clear on it, right? Through some of the questions that I've asked you tonight, because that's how you get confident. And I'm telling you what, confidence trumps any skill on social media. It really does. You don't have to know how to say anything or do the right caption or the right format of a post if you show up with confidence. It really does make such a big difference. So anyway, niching is everything. That's the bottom line. Hi, Kim. Thank you for sharing that. So the second phase I want to talk about is to map out your talking points for your content. So I know I'm going to keep saying the same things again, but this is the way that we make this work. Okay, we're going to make this stick tonight. Your talking points are those things that we just talked about. So who are you helping? It is describing that person and what their problem is and what their dreams are. And then your methods for getting there. But I would caution you to not say things that they don't understand if you're talking about, even if you were talking about something as simple as breath work. You might have done some breath work, but the person that you need to help calm down doesn't do breath work. Okay. So if you want to coach people who already know about breath work, that's different. But again, that's just one example of making sure that you talk about your methods in a way that is easy to understand. I am sure that you have coined phrases. There are things that you say all the time about your business. I always say marketing is the ATM to your business. There's no clients without marketing. I have a whole list of things that anybody who's been around me would know that I say on repeat. They're just the way that I describe things unique to me. So what are those things for you? Because those would be things that you would be talking about in your content. And then experiences. What experiences can you share? Transformations, examples of how you navigated things. We had a client that just did a really brilliant post, and she shared a picture about, it was a picture of her and her husband, like on their wedding day, and it said, this picture doesn't tell the whole story. That was an experience post. She was going to share about something about that picture, and that was such a great way to approach the post. So again, you might want to think about your method for coaching. This is another way to look at it and do a little roadmap of how do you get your person from where they are to where they are going to be, which is the result that you're going to sell them when you offer them coaching. All right. So after this training, I really want you to think about these 4 phases that we talked to, or these 4 areas in phase 1, and then just begin to map out your content. Be thinking about what your content pillars could be. There's no right or wrong in this. It's just the things that you could talk about on repeat. What should those be? After you do that, you can do something similar to this. So whatever the 7 topics are would go across the top. There's 7 dots here on the top, and then the 4 points down below. For me, I might put offers on one of them, one of my 7 talking points, and I would have 4 points that I always talk about offers, or pricing. I might have that in 4 points that I always talk about pricing. So this would be a way that you could create a month's worth of content. So 7 times 4 is 28 days, and you would just cycle through this. And all you're doing is putting the content, like a couple of words there under each one of them, a couple of words just to remind you, you don't have to get that creative on this. You really don't. Sometimes we spend so much time on one social media post. It would be much better if you had a bunch of social media posts instead of one. Okay. So just allow yourself to do it B- work, right? Not the best, because the best sometimes takes too much time. And at this point, we don't know what the best is. So the more content that you can put out, the better opportunity we have to see what works. And maybe for you, that's 1 post a day. Maybe that's all it is, because maybe that's all you've got time for. But at some point, those 1 post a day, eventually you'll be able to repurpose, continue with 1 post a day and repurpose an old post. So then you can do a morning post and an evening post, something like that. Okay. Is there any questions about topic, either by content? Is there any questions about content, either by topic, what platform you might use, or anything else related to where you might be marketing? I'd be happy to answer those. I can also show you our roadmap that also might help you get some clarity, that we pull our content topics around so you can see how that might look. All right. So here's the summary of the 2nd phase, which is learning how to organize your message. That's how you're going to be able to build your content pillars. Talking about each of those things every single week will also be how you begin to build a brand. I want people to be so tired of what you're saying that they remember what you're saying. I want you to be so sick of what you're saying that you can't hardly stand to say it again, because that just means that it's more likely somebody else is going to remember what you said. Really, it's like sometimes I'm like, oh Lord, I say the same things all week long. But the thing is, there's new people entering your world all the time. Okay. New people coming. So you've got to be talking about the same thing on repeat. Okay. So a really simple plan to follow. If you make your plan simple and don't leave this training over promising what you want to do. If you've not been posting at all, to say you're going to post 7 days a week might be too big of a jump, right? Because then you just throw in the towel. Maybe you say I'm posting 3 times a week, right? If you're not even growing an email list, maybe the first step is how am I going to start growing an email list so that I could email somebody? That's just the place to start. And then just learning how to repeat and repurpose everything. It becomes easier to do a workshop like this when you think about the fact that I could literally have a month's worth of content out of this one workshop. It's okay. Doing the workshop is going to actually be multi-purpose for all these other things. So if you have your content pillars laid out, and if you coach yourself around changing your mind and stop the overthinking, it will really help you be able to get your content done. That's the problem, is we're questioning all the time. Is this the right thing? Is that the right thing? That's one of the beautiful things about having me kick our clients in the butt, is that I'm saying to them all the time, no, you're not changing your mind. No, listen, no, what you're doing is good. Just keep going. Because it's hard to keep going when you're in your own way and you're thinking it's not working fast enough. Okay. And all I would say is that it's not working fast enough until it does. So you have to be clear. You have to repeat what you're doing and then share your message to really be able to attract people. All right. The third phase is to go from clarity to confidence, is to turn your message into something you can use. Okay. So once you have done that, when you know who you help, I'm saying it again, when you know what they're struggling with, when you know how your coaching changes things for them, you show up differently. When you are so clear about this stuff, I'm telling you what, you guys, you'll own that and it'll be so much easier for you to market. Okay. This phase is about embodying your expertise. I really cannot tell you enough how, if you are, again, the right niche, you understand their problems, you know what they want, and you know how to solve it in your way, you're the expert. You are the expert in your own niche. You become almost like a category of one, right? You separate yourself from the competition by saying, no, this is my thing that I do. This is the thing that I do well. So I really want to encourage you to think about it that way. This is how you will create momentum in your business, is just by saying that I'm the go-to expert in this. In our Design Live Thrive Summit, which I'm going to talk to you about in a little bit, one of the great things about that was I was trying to help people get expert status by saying that they were speakers at a summit. And that is embodying your expertise by going onto a platform and saying, hey, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm going to teach you about this thing today. That's how you really create momentum in your business. And also that's how you get others around you to take you seriously. I can tell you that for sure. Once you stand up and you own that authority, others around you then will see you differently. Okay, so you want to step into that expert energy. You know, that trying to get clients sort of thing. It just doesn't go well on anyone. So if you are teaching and if you are showing people how to understand what is happening for them, you can communicate it with confidence. Again, I said earlier, confidence is the thing that if you have, it will trump anything else that you're doing when you're doing your marketing. So show up with that energy of I can help you instead of I need this to work. Okay. I was telling some people last week, don't make this like your last ditch effort. If you are approaching your business with this better work or else is at the end of it, you might as well forget it. The or else part is what's going to kill you. Okay. So you need to decide, no, this is my area of expertise and I'm in it until I win. That's it, right? No going around it. Okay, so your action steps are to review your online presence and just ask yourself, does it reflect the professional, confident coach that I am? Do you have that online presence? Also, as I mentioned, to compare yourself to others that you are looking at, who you are saying, well, if they had success, I could have success. Are you showing up in that same manner? Are you speaking from authority in every piece of content that you have? Not here's what I think could work. It's here's what I know works. That's a different kind of thing. And look, you got to get out of your own head if you're saying, but I don't know if it could work for everybody. I can say what I'm teaching you today, I know it works if you do it, right? That's the same thing you could say. So you got to find a way that you can say, I know this thing works. It's worked for me, right? It's worked for someone. It could work for you too. So start using the language that positions you as the solution. I have a 12-step process to get you from not knowing anything about a niche all the way to having a business. I know how to get you from zero to having a business, to having every system set up in your business, to doing all your online marketing consistently with ease. I know how to do that. Like, I could be talking about my solution. Do you know what your solution is? And can you talk about it to people in a way that they would feel like they needed it? So you've got to own your expertise. All right. Energy is intriguing. Okay. Then you want to create a path to a conversation. I am really excited about this part because we just recently reproved again how well this works. Most successful coaches don't wait for clients to appear. They create opportunities through conversations. So your job is to map out where you would meet your ideal client. And then how would you move towards connection with them? So I've given some examples here, but I could give a whole page of examples. Everybody's client is different, and every place that you would connect with them is a different way. If you had a Facebook comment that you did in a group, you could message somebody, right, privately after that, and then maybe offer them a complimentary call. And I don't know if you saw that. It says complimentary coaching call. It doesn't say consultation. It says complimentary call. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute. You could do a workshop, follow up with an email, and invite people to a consult. Okay. You could meet somebody in person. I really want to emphasize in person too right now, because I think that with all that is going on with AI and people producing so much more content, I think that, again, that human connection is so important. And it honestly is much easier to meet somebody in person and to sell them your coaching. It just is. When you meet and tell somebody in person, you can really have a conversation right there on the spot. So most of us are avoiding that, but you could meet somebody in person. It doesn't even have to be at a networking event, right? It's just because you start having conversations about your coaching. Invite them to do something like have a coffee chat, okay? Every interaction that you have is to build trust. All right, so I would love for you to identify 2 or 3 consistent ways where you could nurture conversations every week. And I tried to put down some other examples. I could put pages of examples. If you are going, if you're going to the gym every single day or 3 times a week, everybody at that gym ought to know what you're doing. Okay. If you are, I always use the example, I put my hand down the street. Does anybody on your neighborhood know, in your street, know what you do? Probably not. That's most of the time people say, not really, or they think they did understand, but they don't really understand. Okay. Even family members that don't know. So you do, though, have to track how you are connecting with people, because it's up to you to follow up with people. If you meet somebody and you have some small talk with them about something, you want to be able to remember what that is and you follow up with them. It's the same thing that I say about going to networking events. If you meet somebody at a networking event and hand them your business card, it's not their job to call you, it's your job to follow up with them. So again, however it is that you're interacting, you've only planted the seed. Okay. So then your job is to continue to follow up. All right. And then convert by serving first. This is the thing that I love the most. Sales happen when people feel heard and served, not sold to. So one of the most powerful things that you can do is offer a complimentary coaching call. And it doesn't have to be a long call. It's just to demonstrate to them what happens with coaching. It's literally to give somebody some support. This isn't just a free thing that you're giving. You're helping somebody see what it would look like to experience coaching. This was in our last summit that we had. This was a huge add-on that we did. We had a way for people who had VIP tickets to get complimentary coaching calls with our clients. Huge add-on. That the amount of free coaching calls that were booked was unbelievable. So people, it doesn't just work for me. It's just recently, September 5th and 6th, worked for our clients. So I had a recent client who's one of the ones that I'm talking about. She had 6 free coaching sessions and she sold 3 clients from 6 free coaching sessions. So anyway, lots of opportunity there when you host free coaching sessions. And I don't say what I'm going to say next to brag. I'm just trying to drive home the point. I made my first $100,000 in a brand new niche in 2021 with 0 people on my email list in 6 months with all free coaching sessions. It's the only thing that I did was free coaching sessions. And I just used that time to showcase my expertise. The same as what you guys could do. I coached people and gave away, I did copywriting for people that I might charge $2,500 for to just prove to them how good I was so they would refer me or hire me. So this again might be something that you are missing. And again, I just want to mention, since you work full time, you're here in the evenings, just pick a couple of hours a week that you do that. It's not all the time. A couple of hours a week doing something like this will really move the needle for you. Okay, so the goal of the complimentary session is to help them experience just one mindset shift, right? It's not to solve everything. Our summit free coaching sessions that they did were 30-minute sessions. So the idea was just find the one thing, coach them around the one thing, give them some action steps, something to walk away with, a mindset shift, and let them see, okay, there is something to this coaching. If it feels like it's an aligned conversation, then you invite them to have a consultation with you. Okay. You don't do the consultation during the free coaching call, but you invite them to have a consultation. Okay. So I want you as an action step to offer some complimentary sessions. Not everybody's going to be a fit, but as I say here, or if you're like me, just about everybody is a fit. My theory on this was, until I have no more hours in my week for free coaching, I'm going to keep doing free coaching. So that's really why I filled up my schedule. I was like, how many hours a week do I have to do free coaching? I just picked, like, next week I have 10 hours. I found people in Facebook groups or wherever I could to give a free coaching call to until I filled up those 10 hours that week. And every single time I did that, it converted to clients. So that's, again, just a way to have an opportunity to meet with somebody. When you lead that way and you're generous and you're not there to sell them or to give them a pitch, people really appreciate it. People would ask me after the end of the call, how can I work with you? And I would say, we have to do that on a consultation call, which always blew people's mind. But that's really a complimentary session when you're not selling them. Okay. So I recommend free sessions, as I just mentioned, until you're fully booked. Whatever that looks like for you, you have to decide how many hours a week you have to work on your business. And that's all the hours you have available. Okay. And then tracking your momentum. This is another important piece. It's so easy to let another week go by without making sure that you know what you've accomplished. Okay. So how many people did you meet this week? How many consults did you have, or free coaching calls, right? What content brought in the most amount of people? Just make it as simple as possible to keep track of what you're doing, but it's just a good thing. You could do it if you're a paper calendar girl. You could just write it every day that you make a post, or at the end of the week, summarize what you've done so you have some point of reference to go back to. All right, so keep a simple spreadsheet and then reflect on what worked, what could I do better? And if you've had just a week that didn't work, that's okay too. But to really see long term, how can you get ahead? How can you get ahead so that when you do have a bad week, you are in good shape? That's an important piece to make sure that today, this weekend, I was really down with the flu. Important to know when you've got
to decide if I'm going to go.
Whoops. Important to know what you've got planned ahead of time so that you don't end up without any marketing. Okay. All right. So progress becomes inevitable when you can see how you have grown. It really does. Okay. So in phase 3, what I talked about was embodying your expertise. Okay. Creating those conversations that can lead to clients, offering genuine help to somebody, and then tracking your progress. Okay. All right. So what's the bottom line? You have to ask people to connect. If you're the expert in your niche, if you understand your niche, if you know what's wrong, if you know what they want, you know how to help them, you're the expert. You do not need to overpromise. In fact, I would even check yourself to make sure that you're not overpromising. Only promise and promote what you can do. Integrity is so important to me, and I'm sure that it is to you too. You want to make sure that you're only talking about what you can really get somebody to do. I don't want you to have to read another book, take another course, learn one more thing in your coaching niche to be able to help somebody. Only help them at the level that you can, because again, that really helps you show up as an expert at just what you do. All right, so the key takeaway is you can shift from chasing people to attracting when you speak in the aligned manner that I'm talking about. So when you're talking to somebody who needs help, they can hear it. When you're talking specifically in a really easy way, you don't need any fancy funnels. As I've already said, this will be the third time I've said it. You don't even have to have a script for your reel that you're going to do. You don't have to have a fancy hook. People will understand you when you know and you have thought through and prepared what are the things that people really need to hear about. Okay. So you can do lots of free marketing. There are so many avenues for free marketing. So social media, email marketing, the workshops, the networking, all those places are ways that you can do marketing. Mindset is the icing on the cake. Lately, I've been saying that I think mindset is 50% of the whole puzzle. Most people are here because they need to know the strategy, like how do I get the clients and what do I do and how do I do this marketing? But mindset plays such an important role in it. Believing in yourself, believing in your niche, and believing until you get to the result. Believing that what you have to offer is that important until you get to the result. That this is just so key, okay? When you start believing that your coaching business is going to be successful, then it becomes inevitable. So many people are quitting on themselves before they ever get there. So if you believe it is inevitable, then you'll keep posting. You'll keep trying a new approach. You'll keep doing it until it works. Strategy and mindset, again, equal parts of your success. Now, if you're up for it, I want to answer your questions, but I also want to tell you about the Design Live Thrive Summit. We have another summit coming up, and oh my goodness. If you want to hang around and hear about how fantastic the opportunity is, I'd love to tell you. And then again, be happy to coach you. So our summit, let me just give you a background about it. We're getting ready to do our 4th summit on February 12th. And right now is when we're starting work on it. Actually, Wednesday is our first summit kickoff meeting. And the summit was designed to help women get expert status. It was to help them get their business off the ground, really, to help them get marketing consistently through emails that we write, through social media posts that we do, and then to get people to see them as an expert. We had somebody on here. I don't think she's still, yeah, she is still on here. Sue, I'll call out Sue, who told us on our first summit that her dad saw that she was speaking, and I think I'm getting this right, Sue, and saw her as an expert now, finally. That's the point of it, right? Sometimes the people who are around us closest don't even respect us in the way that we need to be respected. So anyway, I want to invite you to consider to be a speaker, and I'll just tell you what all can happen for you. Since we just finished up our summit in September, we had over 1,000 people, right at 1,000, I should say, register, but thousands of people saw our coaches' names, thousands, because I marketed to my list and everybody else marketed to their people. So your name will be in front of so many people. You will have a signature talk. This has been huge. You'll get clarity around how to talk about not only your niche, you'll get a niche, right? You'll get clarity how to talk about it and then know what a signature talk should be. You'll go from not posting to posting consistently on social media, because we give you graphics, we write the captions, we create the graphics with your pictures on it. Then we do emails for you. We write 10 emails for you to showcase you as the go-to expert. We teach you how to email those emails. We teach you how to do the email marketing, how to collect emails. 85% of our speakers booked coaching calls within 48 hours of the summit. 2 speakers landed their first paying clients before the summit. Now, how did that happen? It's because they got confident and they started telling people, I'm going to be a speaker in a summit. 2 people got paying clients, their first ones, before they ever spoke. One of our coaches is fully booked. 6 weeks out from the summit, she's fully booked. Super, super exciting results. So you get to build your reputation and your authority. You can be a trusted, credible coach by speaking at a platform like this. The Design, Live, Thrive Summit is to showcase our coaches in front of women who want to design a life that they will love. Design, Live, Thrive. So the people who are invited to the summit are just women in general. They're mostly women in midlife, but that are just looking to up-level any area of their life, really. So the attendees are people who are interested in coaching, which is why this thing works so well. So it's an opportunity for you to establish your brand, be an expert in your niche, and to be taken seriously. That's another really big thing. And to become a sought-after speaker. You're going to grow through service by filling your calendar with these complimentary coaching calls. We have coaches that last I knew, which we were still assessing, we had coaches that had 2 coaches that got 16 coaching calls booked. For people who never had any coaching calls booked to 16 coaching calls booked, that's mind-blowing. Okay, so these are not sales calls. These are service calls where you're given a complimentary call, 30-minute session, and then you convert them into having consultations calls with you. So you could literally go from having no clients and having no traction in your business to being a speaker, being consistent on social media, doing your emails, and now having coaching calls on your calendar. It's pretty phenomenal. So all of the calls got booked from summit attendees. So again, if you're in the summit, you have an opportunity to define your niche, to refine your brand, get your message straight, get your talk, set up your first funnel. Now that's a big word, but we help you get your freebie and all the emails that follow set up. So I would love to talk to you about that. You get to be on my podcast, all of those things. I'm happy to answer your questions. If you're interested, I would love for you to get on my calendar. We do have our first summit kickoff meeting starting this week, but there's still time for you to join. We'll be spending the next kind of 100 days or so working on all the things related to the summit and getting your business built. So I'd love for you to schedule a time to just talk to me about what that would look like. After the summit is over, you have an opportunity, of course, then to continue working with us to get your business not just from that point built, but then you have different challenges. You have challenges of like our customer who filled up her calendar, who also works full-time, by the way, who then was trying to figure out, how do I work with this many people? I don't actually know the skill of working with a lot of clients. So there's different levels of things that you have to learn that you don't even know yet. So that's a whole nother kind of thing. So again, even learning how to handle the consultation calls, you name it, we cover all that. So I would love to talk to you about your coaching business. Does anybody have any questions that I could answer? I'm happy to stop the screen share and answer those. Yes, that's right, Sue. Thank you. Anybody else? All right. If you guys are good, again, love to encourage you to schedule a time. This summit, I'm hoping to double the amount of people we had to our last summit. So we really did some things differently this last summit that worked really well. So I am going to be running ads to it and all kinds of fun things. Okay, ladies, if that's it, no questions, we're good to go. I would love to encourage you to consider working with us. You'll have to have a call to talk to me about that, but because we do have coaching Monday evenings, if you're here right now, then I know that probably would work for you. And I don't honestly know any other coach anywhere that coaches in the evening. So I'd love for that to be an opportunity for you as well. So anyway, have a blessed evening. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.